Sarvanasheshataha Saivindriya Grama Samantata. Translation: should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of false ego and must control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Text 25. Shana Shana Upara Samstamana Kritva Nukinchin Api Chintayat. Translation: gradually, step by step, with full conviction, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Back to text 15. I'll read the translation and a little bit for translation for Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus practicing control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist attains to the kingdom of God or of Krishna by cessation of material existence. Report. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. Again, the ultimate goal in practicing yoga is clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only myth. There's no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, nor electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Param Dhamma, or superior abodes. A consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated here in Matchita Matstanam himself, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, the Krishna Loka known as Goloka Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated, Goloka Evam Nivasati Akilatma Bhutaha, that the Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well by dint of his superior spiritual energies. One can reach the spiritual sky or enter into the eternal abode, Vaikuntha Goloka Vrindavan, of the Lord without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. So, Krishna, Pada, Vindayo. In the Vedas also we learn, Tam Eva, Viditvatim Richam Eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. Maharaj, would you please comment on this text and purport in these verses, if you'd like?
Yoga means not to gain any material benefits, but to give up all material benefits. To come to the point where one has no material inclination at all, which means then he's actually liberated, because as long as one still has a desire for sense gratification, even if he restrains himself, he's not yet free. He's still being driven by the desire. And unless he gets a higher taste, then he'll not be able to attain the supreme abode. And the supreme abode of the Lord is compared here to the other impersonal aspect. The impersonal aspect of trying to merge into the Brahman cannot be compared really to the personal abode of the Lord, which is eternal and has all the varieties that we have in the material, much more varieties than we have in the material, but they're all spiritual. This is impossible for the impersonals to conceive because they haven't taken to the process that's required. That's bhakti yoga. Krishna makes it abundantly clear in Bhagavad Gita that only by devotional service can one attain him personally. And this should be of interest to everyone, because everywhere in the world, they more or less, some of them claim they do believe in a personal God. But so what kind of personal God is it? No name, no personality, no activities, no friends, no house. It becomes divested of all personal aspects. That has to be replaced. And that's why Prabhupada made sure that this movement was called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, rather than just God consciousness, which could be taken in person. And we see God has become reduced now to an impersonal something. But that's not the fact. Krishna is more than just a something. He's everything. At the same time, he's the supreme person. We were speaking today about Vyasadev's father, Parasara Muni. He's the person who, in his Parasara Sutras, he describes the Lord as being the one who is complete in 6 opulences. Aishvaryasya samagasya, viryasya yashishashya, jnanavairagyashaya, chanam itina. So he's complete in strength, wealth, opulence, Aishvarya, samagrasya, viryasya, strength, yashisha. Yasha means fame. He's the most famous. Yeah. And beauty, jnana, knowledge, and renunciation. He has all these to the nth degree. In fact, he owns all of these opulences, and only because he kindly allows us to use some of his opulence, some of his energy, do we have any. So we should be very thankful for what we have and use it properly. So yes, yoga is meant to give up material life, and it's somewhat misunderstood today, as we see. I think it's a good opportunity for increasing one's material pleasure. However, there may be still some benefits. An expert bhakti yogi devotee may be able to even use the attraction that people have, this type of yoga, have some interest in it. It's a little bit spiritually, it's induced by a little bit, at least a little bit of spiritual interest, maybe more than it, maybe a great deal. But they're trying these different yogas. That's a good thing. because they're becoming familiar with Sanskrit language, with India, with names like Krishna, words like yoga, karma, dharma. These are spiritual words coming from Bhagavad Gita. So then it's the duty of the Vaishnavas to come and say, if you're interested in yoga, that's great. Here's a book on yoga, the topmost yoga. And so then the people can be used. They have a little attraction, and that can be used to help them come to the level of real yoga. They don't have to take all the other methods. Just take the elevator yoga right to the top. And very simple. It's the easiest, because how can everyone perform Ashtanga yoga? But everyone can perform Bhakti yoga. A child can do it. An old person can do it. Even if he's stiff and old and he can't do exercises and he can't do breathing, he can chant Hare Krishna, or at least he can listen to others chant Hare Krishna. That's also devotional service.
Jai Haribol. Thank you, Maharaj. So step by step, step by step, progressing and climbing the yoga ladder, and whatever, even small steps are really, really good. And it's about keeping going. It's about chipping away, and it's not about arriving there all at once every time. Sometimes it is, but chipping away and just a relentless pursuit. Lord, I want to serve you, no matter where you put me. I just want to serve. If it's okay, please engage me in your service. And so many people they're getting closer, but sometimes it is nice they're getting closer, but sometimes we all need a little help to make even further advancement. And so there's a lot of people that are on the right track, and they're prime, and they're ripe for some Krishna consciousness. And it's sad to think that they may not get there. And whatever ends, you know, whatever you call yourself, if someone calls himself, Christian or Muslim or Sikh or Buddhist or Jain or agnostic or atheist, this is a movement that is trying to bring everyone together, because we're all children of Krishna. We're all children of God, and he wants us to come back to him. We want to come back to him deep down. And so we're asking everyone to give it a try, and try chanting the Maha Mantra, for a few minutes today, or as long as you can. You sit there and with your beads, or even if you don't have beads, and you Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's one mantra, and you do it again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you're determined, and you keep doing that, and Krishna sees that determination, and it's called the Maha Mantra because it's the great mantra. So you're in direct contact with the Supreme when you chant these words. There's vibration. This is a spiritual vibration. This is not just a material vibration. This is something so potent our minds can't really even grasp it. But we've been given the secrets from the acharyas, and so we're asking everyone to try chanting. And if you don't do it, it's okay, but it's kind of hurting our feelings just a little bit. So we appreciate it if you could just try it, because you look at the people in this movement, and there's some of the sweetest, nicest people. They're so giving to serve. They don't know anything but service, and they love preparing, cooking, and taking prasadam, and chanting and dancing. So going to we're killing them with kindness, and they will eventually come around. Their and our own hearts, their hearts, and our own tough hearts will eventually start to melt a little bit, and so you'll see a change of heart, and that's a really special thing. And the great acharyas, and they're helping guide us to give this out and to grow ourselves. So please just try chanting it. It might actually really be for your benefit if you try it. You have to try it. Someone may say, oh, I can't see God. Where is he? Why isn't he in front of me? Well, God doesn't reveal himself except for to the devotees. And so you have to make some steps towards him for him to make some steps towards you like that. He's always with you, but he wants to see some steps in his direction, and he doesn't have to comment or beck and command. Of course, that should be our attitude: is that we come to his beck and command. But I say, but not everything you see. If you can't see something, does it mean it's not there? Like when you're laying in bed and you have your legs covered with a blanket, just because you can't see your legs, does that mean they're not there? Or you know they're there. You can feel that they're there. You can feel that they're there, and you know deep down that they are there. And that's like it's like Krishna. We feel Krishna. We see Krishna, and we deep down we know he's there. We know we're children of Krishna. We know we're all in this together, and we know that this is like that we're here for some reason. It's not just, it's like we're here for some rectification and some growth, and we can keep growing and growing like that. And that's really, Krishna loves it when he sees that we're interested in growth, especially growing and coming towards him. He says, if we really love growth and we can't get enough of it, and he says that's very nice. They've got the taste. They've got the taste, and they just want to keep growing. And there's all these different levels, hundreds and thousands of different levels. And like Maharaj said, we can take the elevator to the top and save a lot of time. The Maha Mantra is a special gift of this age, where we can, anyone can do it. Maharaj said that even if you're just hearing the mantra, all the entities that are hearing the mantra are getting benefited. And if we can chant the mantra even nicer, that's very nice. And try to sink into the mantra for 30 minutes, 45 minutes if you never have, an hour. And just write down, how did that feel? What did you experience? Over time, you're going to be cleansing your heart, you're purifying your heart, and you'll be getting realizations that can only come through chanting the Maha Mantra. You get these realizations, and there's just things you get that you have to actually sit there and do the mantra to understand it. Shishigunatai, Kijai. To really cook, you can look at cookbooks a lot, but to really learn how to cook, at a certain point, you've got to turn on a flame and you've got to put some ingredients down. And so if you're a seeker, you have to be willing to find, you have to be willing to find as well. So once you find it, then there's no more seeking. The seeking goes away. When you find the water source, and you're thirsty, you don't say, okay, we found one, let's just go find another one. We know it's here, so we'll come back to it. No, you say, you go back to your town, you drink, and then you go back to your town and you say, I found the water source. We're all so thirsty. Let's go drink. Let's go drink this nectar. And it really is nectar. There's so much nectar, that the incense, and so many nice smells and visions of the deities with the garlands on, and how nicely dressed they are, and all the flowers, and the way the devotees look, and devotees can become kind of mad in devotion, like Chaitanya, the way he would he would just be rolling on the ground, and then think about Radharani, the way that she's having like a conversation with a bumblebee for a long time, Oh, bumblebee, why haven't you're so lucky you get to fly around and be next to Krishna whenever you want, and you're the lucky one, and then the bee starts to fly away. Oh, but don't tell Krishna I said these things. Just like having a big exchange with the bumblebee, just focusing on the sweetness of Krishna and loving him when she's in his association, but also the most powerful love is in the separation, and it's even sweeter. It can even be sweeter and more powerful. So, these families, they may lose someone very important to them. They may lose a son, and it can be very tragic, but really there's no loss. There's no loss or diminution. That person is not gone. They have just gone into a different body, a different vehicle, and they're going to make hopefully further spiritual progress. And to be born in a Vaishnava family is very nice, but we don't have to mourn. Grandfather may leave the body, or a son, or so many tragic things. They had karma and the modes of nature determining the body we get, and the modes of course, goodness, passion, and ignorance, sattva, rajas, tamas. And so everyone's being affected by these modes. We're all under these modes until we can try to rise even above the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance and come to this transcendental goodness. And in samadhi, Prabhupada's talking about just being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. It's not, there's yoga, material facility. People may try to pray to a demigod for material benefits, or may practice yoga for some material benefits or for some ulterior reason. But yoga means union. We're trying to unite with the Supreme. So all yoga is trying to unite with the Supreme. And so any type of material consciousness, it's just going to get in the way. It's like a big block. We're putting up gates between us and Krishna if we're trying to enjoy our senses. And there's a nishkama karma yoga, which means totally not in it for any sort of selfish desire, just serving, not for any personal benefit. That's nishkama karma yoga. And if one has any of these material desires, we're still not quite there, and that's hard. That's very hard, but it's step by step. If you compare where you were 3-5 years ago, you'd say, I was a different person. I have grown. So keep that in mind. Even though we forget how much we've grown. I used to teach guitar more often, and students very often, they forget how far some students forget how far they've come, and you have to remind them, wow, you've come a long way. When you came into this room, you didn't know a single chord. And those people out there on the street, most of them, they don't know a single chord, but look where you're at, because the growth process is so slow. Growth is not, it's not always fast. It's not always obvious. It's not always easy. It's not always painless. But they love the process. Eventually students fall in love with the process of learning. And so they say, I just like these little challenges. I like these little 100 challenges. When I sit there with a book of Srila Prabhupada, if I can challenge myself, what does a musician do? They sit there and they play the same piece over and over again. Most people don't have the patience for that, because you have to start very slow. Row, row, row. It takes a lot of patience. And so we have to do the same thing. We can take one verse and you can read it very slow, and then you can read it again, and then you can close your eyes and record yourself. Try to see did you retain anything from that verse? Just say everything that you can remember, or any sort of realizations you have, and then read it again, and then listen to your recording, and just you can do so much with one text, one book, or one verse. So let's just have fun with it. If the student can have fun with the materials, because we're just in the sandbox. You just say, we're in the sandbox. We're safe in the sandbox, and we've got a certain amount of things that we can mess with and deal with. So ideally, we can have some fun in the sandbox along the way, and we're protected. The child in the backyard thinks that they have complete freedom, but there's some barriers there. There's some protection there. And so freedom, people say, I want my freedom, but they also want their protection and their safety. And those don't always go hand in hand. If we demand our freedom, we may have to give up some protection and some safety. And so, you don't put a baby on top of a skyscraper and you say, okay, I was giving you your freedom. It's the baby would say, no, please just don't put me in that position. And Krishna does protect his devotees and abolishes previous karmas. And so by chanting, you're actually settling up. You're actually paying your debt on some of that old karma. Some of us have credit card debt in the past. And it feels so good when you can when you pay it all off and you say, I don't want to get any more credit card debt again, because I know what it's like. Americans, in countries that's willing to spend so much in credit card debt, they don't have the money. They'll say, well, that's okay. Most countries are sometimes a little more pragmatic. I don't have the money, I'm not going to buy it, but get a credit card. Get a good credit score. Why are you spending so much on credit? Well, I'm trying to get my credit score up. It's like some sort of trap. It's definitely Maya. And so, but by chanting, we're getting rid of this old credit card debt. Sure, we still have a little debt, but that's being worked out. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Improvement in health aspires. So that means people that are really just in it for benefits. They're just trying to get their health perfected so they can enjoy materially. And people that are trying after material perfection. Oh, I want to look perfect. I want to be the most famous. I want to enjoy the biggest buffet. I want to have all my friends and family around me and all these things. And that's what people are considering as material perfection, putting away, millions of dollars and not sharing that with anybody. And squirrels, like humans, are some of the only that will put away so much more than they need. Even a squirrel, you may say, well, they're taking away so much, but they take as much as they need for the winter. And so in nature is mostly more worked out than we are in human society. Mostly we're a little more chaotic and unrefined and unpredictable, because animals are taking what they need, and they're operating underneath nature's laws in a way that we aren't always operating. Entering the void, entering the void, giving up personality, giving up all. The absence of suffering is not pleasure. That's like entering the void. It's just like nothingness. What kind of pleasure is that? Because Krishna is a person, and we came from a person, and we can actually someday associate with him and his associates. Much nicer than a black nothingness void. People can do that for an hour, go into like a deprivation tank, usually for an hour, but you don't see many people going in there for 24 hours. I saw one person go into a room that was lit. What was it, 4 days or something like that? Completely lost track of time, just complete mess, just falling apart, really. I don't know. Did anyone else see that one? There's no void. Cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. So quitting this material, this love of materialism, that's going to help us enter into the spiritual sky. Quitting these things and going to the next level and becoming a little more clean, a little more pure, having a routine, scheduling, having a nice routine, knowing what is expected from us and sticking to our plan and these are all things that are going to help us serve even better. And so we learn this, we're just learning these things. We're all in different places, I feel like I spent a lot of money in college just to, to learn some of these things. Most people in college, that's one of the things they learn is just like how to or having a job. You just learn how to show up on time. They say showing up is so much of it. We may have things that make us nervous, really important things. These days get sometimes more and more amazing, and sometimes we're something that we're saying, well, that's something really big coming up. I'm a little nervous, but it's exciting, and we love these things, and we love a chance to try to dovetail everything for Krishna, no matter what we're doing and what our occupation is. How do you dovetail it? If you're a firefighter, how do you dovetail that? If you're a police officer, if you're a city council worker, if you're a sanitation worker, it's all consciousness. It's where's your consciousness at? Did you train your consciousness early? Did you beat it with a newspaper? And did you beat it with a broom at night? Did you train your consciousness? This way to train your consciousness, wake up early, jump into devotional service, chant the Maha Mantra. You find your days are so different and so less chaotic and more in tune with the Lord, more in tune with goodness and transcendental goodness. Because ignorance, people that are just after money, that's the mode of passion. Most of the world is in the mode of passion. And then you've got, of course, people in the mode of ignorance that are just very, very negative. And we can have mixed modes, and people can go down and up. Sun, moon, or electricity in the abode of the Lord. All the planets are self-illuminated like the sun. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Param Dhamma, or superior abodes. He's always residing in his abode called Goloka, but he's the all-pervading Brahman, and he's the localized Paramatma in the heart, as well as by dint of superior spiritual energies. You have to understand Krishna to enter into that abode. You can't just knock on the door and jump in. You have to really understand. You have to have some proper understanding. Who is Krishna? Who is expansions, plenary expansions, and expansions of plenary expansions? There's one God that resonates. We know that resonates on such a deep level that there's one supreme personality of Godhead. We know that's how it is through the books and deep down and through the acharyas. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. It's not about little tricks. We're not interested in showing off to the public a little yogic trick, but freedom from material existence. So it's learning that it brings us. We start to think material existence is. Most people are thinking it's freedom, it's fun, it's. They are thinking that what is binding them is actually enjoyment. It's actually good. That it's that whatever it is, that's satisfaction to them, whether it's sexual pleasure or anything. They're thinking that's the best. That's That's the good stuff. But actually, they're becoming chained. They're getting results. They're getting reactions. They just can't correlate it. But they're actually getting bad results for bad karmic reactions for some of the things they're doing, and they're just not connecting it. They're not realizing that, oh, some serious sins. So of course I'm going to have some serious downfalls, some serious negative reactions. So we learn over time. Krishna wants us to learn from our experiences. Like, keep doing that, you get the bad reaction. Okay, I want to try not to have the bad reaction. I want to try to maintain. I want to try to grow up in spirituality. And people are surprised sometimes. I was trying to invite someone recently to lunch Thursday, and I said, you can come early too. There's a singing opportunity if you want to sing a little bit before. Singing before lunch. What? Didn't correlate. Didn't quite make sense. Then I explained it, but that's a type of yoga. Most people are thinking they're just going to go to a restaurant. Like, what, you sing before you go to a restaurant and you sing a little bit, but they don't. We need to help show people how to give their food to Krishna first, and do things as a sacrifice. Text 16. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Purport. Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There's no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Bunjate te tvagham papaya pachantyatma. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga. Because 6 hours is already 25% of our day. So that means if you live to be 100 years old, you have spent 25 years sleeping, unconnected, just completely kind of in a bewildered, kind of illusory state. And that's 25 years. So any more than that, that's some serious amount of time. Serious amount of time that we could be making some serious progress. So this purport is speaking a lot about balance. It's about balance. Krishna is the master of balance. He knows he wants us to be balanced, not too much, not too little. So listening toward that inner voice, that's, super soul is a big part of that inner voice. So listening, learning to listen to him, listen to Guru. Krishna is Adi Guru, and so we have to listen. If we're not willing to listen to Krishna, how are we going to listen to Srila Prabhupada or so listening to the inner voice and being balanced. That's a big part of it, being balanced for Krishna, balance in our sleeping, balance in our eating. Text 17. He who is temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So, bhakti yoga, devotional service, and performing devotional service by chanting, serving the Lord in different ways, reading books, helping others. And this is the only way to associate with Krishna, this bhakti yoga, this devotional service. So we've gotten the key. We've gotten the key. We just have to turn the key. We just have to open the door. Sometimes the teacher will say, I can show you the door, but you have to go through it. The teacher can't can actually go through the door for you. You actually have to go through the door. The teacher will show you the door. Um, and then, um, so yeah. So thank you for being asked. Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. That was